Although a welcome addition to any strategy and history fans' library of games, it's safe to say Britannia had the community confused with a couple of changes. So here's a list of issues we would like to see changed or tweaked for the next upcoming Total War game from least to most important. A lack of diversity. Not the diversity you might think, but more the types of units available to utilize. The unit trees are very simplistic compared to other titles, but there's some odd removals such as a further variety of archer units, maybe utilizing some hunter variety that does better from stealth to even a simple mechanic like peasant mobs, which can provide much needed fodder in some situations, or even numbers for a choke point tactic. But there's hoping there's a few more options in China than in Britannia. Lacks variety after Warhammer. Come on guys, this is pretty simple. The battles and the world visually don't do anything to pull you in, unlike the Warhammer titles. So for an example, in Warhammer 1 and 2, there's imagery on both the over and in fight world that keeps things interesting and it encourages exploration. But in Britannia there's a silent Stonehenge, ooh, and a couple of trade cards, like what? We believe a bit more life and vibrance would have gone a long way, such as spring festivals and the sounds of bells tolling. Just without those things, the overworld feels flat compared to the vibrance of the Warhammer verse. Distinct lack of single-player experience. More so than the Warhammer series, single-player experience was a staple of the historic Total War games, and it feels missing from this title, where the Rome campaigns let you play through the tribulations of three opposing states in the first and grand global conquests, in the second, and even Attila sporting the Huns' rising events, which always threw a spanner into any grand campaign. Now the stories boil down to get victory conditions. We don't feel attachment to the leaders, which is a remarkable shame, and with the unique time and setting of three kingdoms, we will love to see individual storylines, not some random quest fights in a grand campaign given to the players. Loyalty. Come on guys, we all knew this was coming, right? The loyalty system on paper is great, but in execution can lead to some utterly impossible scenarios. And now, we are not saying a game can have a fail trigger, a point from which there's no return and gives the player a go down fighting time that can be fun, but not when that trigger can happen in almost any run. If you don't believe just how obnoxious the implementation of this system was, there is no need to look further than the modding community. Did you know that one of the most popular mods whenever we've checked is the loyalty buff, or straight up removal of the system? The most imbalance. Now, many might have been thinking loyalty might have been the biggest gripe, but no! It's that this title is the first single-player Total War experience we've had where the player has the chips completely stacked against them. Regardless of the faction you chose, if you play on a harder difficulty, the whole game doesn't challenge the player more, it simply makes the entire AI imbalanced. For a great example of difficulty scaling done right, we look at Dark Souls. This title has no difficulty and allows the player freedom of what challenge they want to experience. You can decide I'm not going to take any armor and not level, and the game is still completable but will take longer and end in many broken controllers. But CA's approach to difficulty was simply debuffing the player and buffing the AI, which was simple enough in the other titles, but that's forgetting the loyalty system, which was already incredibly hard. have a high chance of rebellions and AI not having to deal with any of these mechanics, and you have an experience that doesn't feel like you're controlling an army in a time period, but more like you're a kid being kicked by every other kid at school, trying to fight back, and the teachers holding down one of your arms whilst giving the other kids knuckle dusters. But what if the AI was subject to loyalty problems as well? What if there's no difficulty and simply Steve achievements that create scenarios such as a Welsh faction in the north retake Wales suddenly, you can use virtuous civil wars and rebellions to work your way through enemies, and this idea is limitless. But no, instead, there's less numbers for us and more numbers for them. And I hope this system is ditched for 3 kingdoms for player freedom difficulty. But that's just a few things we think should be changed between this title and the next one. What would you change? Let us know in the comments down below, and remember to like and subscribe for more content you want. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.